YouTube is full of videos about good knives. It's full of videos about bad knives. It's high time that someone makes a video about weird knives. This is 3 Weird Knives, and I'm your host, JJJinks.
Let's get weird.
This is JJJinks, and today we're going to look at 3 weird knives. We will begin with this one. It's a keychain thing. Well, let me... How do you describe this thing? Well, it's a circle with a hole in it, and you have these key-ringed posts that slide around the perimeter of the circle. It's kind of fidgety, I guess. It has that anodized titanium finish with the blues and the purples and the greens and the yellows, and it's shiny. And there is a knife in here. So here's how it works. One of these posts moves around. It's mobile. The other one is not. It's actually being used as kind of a detent, and I can slide it forward this way and release it, and now it also slides around, and now I can access the actual knife. You might have noticed this little stub right here that is kind of a thumb stud, and out swivels your blade. Kind of a neat little crescent moon sort of thing. And so yeah, it's a highly recurved blade, also that anodized look. It is double ground, and it's sort of like a keyring karambit, maybe. And it's got this little notch cut out at the top, which the keyring post slides into to keep it in place. You can also remove the keychain stud things by sliding it to the slot where the thumb stud was, and now you can just take them out. What is the practicality of this? Hard to say. I was thinking like maybe you could use it as like a cigar cutter sort of thing. You put your cigar here and then kind of guillotine it off. I guess you could, open packages and stuff. It's sort of a concealed thing, hidden in plain sight kind of a knife. It's kind of cool. And with a little notch at the top, it kind of makes it look like a strange exotic lizard or bird. Never really tested the edge on this thing. It's got quite an obtuse angle to the grind, but doing the dowel test, that's got issues. How would you sharpen something like this? I mean, I guess you'd have to get in there and... I guess it could be done, but I'll try the paper thing. I guess I'll just poke it through and drag. Wow. Pretty rough. You know what it kind of reminds me of? That classic, now proven fake photo of the Loch Ness Monster, but in pocket keychain knife form. Yeah, I kind of dig this thing. And when it closes, it does have a little bit of a detent. I guess there's like a, hard to see, semicircular spacer in there that acts as a backspring, sort of. I guess it's more of a slip joint. That's the word. So there you go, the Nessie hole knife. Now, if you thought that mechanism was unique, well, you'll get your eyes on this one. For the next weird knife, it's one of the more unique opening mechanisms I've seen, also quite dangerous. So how it works is the long slot right here is actually a guide for this post, and the whole thing's gonna slide through its own handle, like so. See that? Until it snaps shut. And the pieces have now come together to form a handle. And it's kind of neat because I feel like the blade is actually bigger than the handle, whereas when it was in the closed position, the handle was bigger than the blade. This particular one comes with sort of foul scroll work stamped into the scales, which I think are plastic. Liners are all steel, so it is a bit heavy. Looking at the pivot mechanism, which is down here now, we've got nylon or Teflon washers there, and the blade's just one of those straight back types with a long slicing belly, the two-tone satin and black finish. It's not the worst looking blade. I normally don't go through for the whole black and satin combo looking blades. I just don't like the way it usually looks, but it works with this one. Now, why it's kind of dangerous is because if you didn't know any better, you might hold the knife like so, and then try to open it like that. But see where my hand is here? Once the blade starts moving, it actually pokes into that space where my hand was. This is not the kind of knife you'll want to hand to somebody without showing them how it works first, you know? Interesting thing you can see when it's partially open is how it kind of locks into place on both open and close. You got a couple of detent bearings on these little pieces of sprung steel on both sides, and in the liner on either side of that pivoting post, you've got holes for the bearing to slip into correspondingly, which is what gives it that little bit of a detent when it's closed, and that little bit of a detent when it's, well, this is closed. I don't think I would be comfortable using this knife. You know, if you just casually, oh, I gotta open a box. I could see myself really slicing myself open with this. It's an accident waiting to happen, at least for me. Plus, no pocket clip. It's just the big cheap nylon sheath. It's also not the most comfortable. It's got this long sloping kind of a finger choil going on here, and it makes my hand kind of feel squished to the back end of the blade. If the handle were a little bit longer, or if this choil piece were pushed up a little more, it'd be a lot more comfortable. One little artistic detail on the two-tone blade is that the satin part actually comes up at a slope all the way up through the slot and up towards the tip. So it's almost like it mirrors the angle of the cutting edge, but with the satin part. That's a neat stylistic choice that I applaud. I think this would be really neat if the scroll work part were two-toned. Maybe get brass with some of that black stuff down in the bottom part, you know what I mean? Kind of an antique look. That would look kind of neat. It's sort of steampunkish in its appearance, you know? Anyway, I chose this one because of its unique mechanism. You know how it's like almost a meme? Well, maybe it is literally a meme, where what you think you order from Wish.com and what you actually get are completely different things. This knife is kind of like that. Well, primarily because I'll just show you. Yeah. Didn't read the dimensions. I really thought this would be full-size knuckle dusters. So, obviously, this is made for 4-year-olds, which is great. So it's like a toy. Look at how shiny it is. And it has this really interesting inlay that looks like a almost holographic with like a kind of a carbon fiber weave with a little shiny emerald thing repeating. It's got a key ring, or I guess you could take this out and use it as a lanyard hole. And it's got a switch on the side because this is also an OTF knife. Ready? Well, there it is. Would this have been cooler if it was full-sized? I don't think so. I actually kind of prefer it to be this comically small size with this little teeny tiny kind of a pen blade that shoots out of it. And because it's so tiny, you can actuate it very quickly, which means it's fidgety. The best part is the cutting edge of the blade is down, so your entire blade is obstructed by its own handle. Yes, this one knuckle right here just blocks you from even accessing the full blade. Like this part of the blade down here, I'll never actually get to cut anything with because the damn handle's in the way. The best I could hope for is to get the tip through a piece of tape to open a package, and that's all I would really trust this thing for. They're fun. Yes, Wish.com is one of those places where I enjoy just sitting and browsing and browsing and browsing until something like this pops up, or this, and then I get to make an episode of 3 Weird Knives. Thanks for joining me. This has been JJJinks. Truck Stop Knives!